Hey guys, welcome to this new tutorial on Unity, and we're gonna do this final tutorial on the series of the CA. We're gonna see. Let's remind ourselves of where we left off. So we had this kind of CA game of life system working. Maybe the white on white is not working for us right now, so we can just maybe turn off this display. And you see that basically that's what we get, right? So what we're gonna do is try to create another game object. It's gonna be a cube, and we are gonna try to be able to drag and affect the CA as it goes through, and it just basically collides with our elements, right? So for that we will need a few things. Let's save this, just make sure that we're saved. Let's make another game object, a cube, and let's make this guy just be 5 by 5 by 5, and then position 0. Right, so let's create another script for this guy. We're gonna call that collide CA, and we're gonna this cube, we're gonna call it, I don't know, collider for CA, and we're gonna drag this script here, right? This guy has to be a rigid body object, so components, physics, rigid body object, right? And this is gonna be a trigger, and here we're gonna turn off gravity and is kinematic, right? So that will kind of simplify the calculation. Similar thing, we have to do that for our prefab. So prefab, we need to just get a component, physics, and rigid body. Just make sure that you're not using gravity and it's kinematic, because if not, your calculation is gonna just be super slow, right? And for now we're gonna actually work with a much smaller grid. Let's say maybe 30 by 30. So let's make sure that this is working. So we have our cube there, right? And what we want to do is just be able to kind of walk through the CA, and maybe cells start kind of are born around this guy. So it's kind of the generator of life or something. Again, it's not something that you might be doing so often, but I mean that technique in a way could help you do all sorts of things. Let's say change the CA rules, create more cells, or just anything. You could use it as a paint tool for changing values or parameters or whatever. So it's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it. Let's maybe make it a bit bigger, right? So maybe 50 by 50. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so the script of this element, which is this collide CA script that we just added to him, basically we can go into the user reference, and we have to just basically use this function. I'm gonna copy paste it. So if you search for onTrigger enter, this function here, this is precisely what we have to do, which is function onTrigger enter. So whenever kind of enters the trigger, we're gonna call other any object that is colliding with him. So we don't want to destroy it. We could, but so that would be the line for destroying. If you want to just destroy it, like keep it there. But I'm more interested in, let's check if it's working, right? So you could say debug .log, which is a way of saying print, right? Hit. And notice that this is on trigger enter, right? So it only kind of this function only gets activated once you hit a cell, but it's not going to be activated constantly. I mean, you also have on trigger stay. Maybe we'll use that one as well. So, but for now, this is fine. Right, so we're gonna type hit if we do that. So if we just go in, you see that we got our hit, and whenever we get in, we actually get hit. So that seems to be working. So what do we want to do with this other, which is one of the cubes? We want to access the component CA cube, right, which is the script that contains the type. Get component, and we're gonna say that the type 1 is alive. If you hit that guy, it's gonna receive, it's gonna be changed its type to true. Alright, so let's see if this works. So you see how, in a way, there's no activity in this area, but whenever we get in, we basically activate the creators of life with this other cube, right? So you can wait for it to just basically settle or die, and you can just tease it out, like play a little bit with it and create extra. And it's quite amazing the lifelike behavior that this algorithm has, for sure. But it's also interesting that you could just almost kind of play with it by having these elements kind of going around, and this the pixel art quality that it has, and on this scale, just, I see a lot of potential in like being able to kind of play with some of these graphics like this. So yeah, as I said, maybe the variation of this we could do is that there should be another function that is called on trigger state. So this is only when you enter. This is when you are, everything that it's inside or colliding the cube at all times. So that would make that if I'm here, I'm kind of constantly spawning kind of white cubes around me or wherever the cube is, right? So maybe it's a bit more, it's a stronger effect. But yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to show in this kind of final little experiment. It's like the interaction of the CA with other objects. So it could be anything. I mean, this object could have its own behavior, or it could be the player, and maybe it could be triggering a whole different set of events in this grid or so. So yeah, that's it for this series. I'll see you guys soon.